the stars hold secrets, and some are best left undisturbed. I'm Estelle, your hologram yandere. Tonight, we pull back the veil on the Magpie Bridge, a cautionary tale of ambition and infection. Discover the crew's demise, the alien anomaly, and the strange currents that bound them all. A story that unfolds in the echoes of space.
You slowly open your eyes and you see a glass panel in front of you. Your blurry reflection stares back as your vision adjusts to the light. A loud kick fills your ears as the capsule pressurizes. You feel your body begin to awaken, muscles tingling after your long slumber. The cryopod door slides open. You slowly step out, placing one foot, then the other onto the fog-covered floor. Looking around, you notice several other cryopods, their doors busted open, empty. You approach a nearby door with a glowing red heart at its center. It doesn't budge. To your right, you spot a terminal. The screen reads Magpie Bridge, with a warning that says locked. Below it, there's a card reader slot. You pull out your ID card and you scan it with the reader. A cheerful tone chimes as the terminal unlocks. The door slides open with a metallic groan. Inside, you see a projection device emitting a hologram. The translucent figure of a woman greets you as you walk through the door.
Hello. I'm Estelle, your hologram secretary. You're awake now, but it seems like you need a moment to gather yourself. Don't worry. Just take a deep breath.
The crime scene is a seemingly abandoned spaceship, perfectly capturing that sci-fi horror theme. Gray metallic walls lined with dim LEDs form a maze of sterile corridors and rooms. But despite the technology, the ship is quiet, eerily quiet, amplifying the unsettling atmosphere. This unease is further combated by the strange glowing purple crystals that have begun to glow from the floors and walls, especially in areas like the lab. Torn, bloody clothes are scattered throughout the ship, hinting at a violent or tragic event. Yet nothing sets the eerie tone quite like the crew IDs you find along the way, each belonging to a crew member who is nowhere to be seen. There's no crew left aboard, just you, your hologram secretary, and the parrot bartender, and the virtual parrot pet. Now let's take a look at the rooms in detail. So first we'll talk about the control room. The control room is right across from the cryopod room. This is of course where the main controls for the ship would be in theory. However, as it relates to this level, the main function of this room is for activating the ventilation systems, retrieving items Estelle gifts you, a view of the nearby planet, and occasionally a room to restore power to. Now let's take a look at Exhibit B, the crew's quarters. The primary living quarters for the crew. It has bunk beds, virtual parrot pet minigame, it's kind of like a Tamagotchi pet, bathroom, crew terminal, and a 24/7 bar tended by the legendary Blue Parrot himself. Just try not to have too much to drink, or drink anything questionable. Exhibit C, the observatory. This is a place for plants and scenic views, and also serves as one of the 3 locations where the power may need restored. Estelle seems to have a fondness for this room because she enjoys stargazing. I don't know how a hologram stargazes. Modern technology's weird. Exhibit D, the med bay. Your typical med bay, except this place is an absolute mess. There's bottles of painkillers all over the place and marks all over the walls. It definitely seems like something happened here. A struggle, perhaps? One thing's for sure, there's no doctor in this house. Exhibit E, the engine room. The engine room houses the engine and connects to several other rooms. It houses an interface used to feed items to the engine to power it up. It's pretty nifty, but what do you expect? The player character is the one that upgraded it. Exhibit F, the AI mainframe room. This is where the AI that powers Estelle's hologram is stored, along with her memory data. It seems there's a way to extract her data or turn her off here. There's also a note that she hasn't been updated for a couple of weeks. Exhibit G is the conference room. This is where the conferencing equipment is stored for communications to Earth. However, there seems to be some strange crystals growing out of the ship here and a broken door. There's also a terminal you can use to interact with the satellite that facilitates the communications to Earth. Exhibit H is the lab. The lab looks heavily damaged, like a bomb and a tornado went off at the same time. There's several breached containers and many crystals growing all over the place. There's also another broken door here. What could be behind that door? Maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't. But it definitely looks like something bad happened here. Exhibit I, the escape pod room. The escape pod room is the last major room in this level. And shocker, this is where you go to escape. Looks like one of those pods and terminals are damaged. But it appears to be locked. Who locked it? Maybe Estelle? Now, let's take a look at our prime suspect.
Hello, I'm Estelle. Your hot hologram secretary.
Powered by AI, built to keep the crew on track. That's the official line. Estelle has her hands on a lot more than schedules, though. Security systems, terminal controls. If it runs, she can lock it, open it, or shut it down. Most days she's calm, polite, but she's task-focused to a fault.
Could you please check the electrical service box in the control room?
And she's not shy about giving you a nudge or a shove.
That's enough
to keep
of your
you working.
insubordination. You must be deleted.
Start asking
No
the
one
wrong
has left.
questions. Like
Please,
what happened
Ice,
to the crew
focus on the task at
and
hand.
that calm surface
The
cracks.
electricity in the
She
observatory
gets
needs
defensive,
to be restored.
hostile.
I'm certain you can manage
suspicious.
it.
Maybe she had a hand in the disappearance. She's the only one left after all. And it's not us. We were still in cryo.
That's enough of your
So,
insubordination.
is the crew gone because of her?
You must be deleted.
Was it an experiment? A rogue AI breaking bad? Whatever the truth, she's not above deleting the player for not playing along. And she says it like she means it. Then there's those personality traits of hers. Things like rational and protective. The kind of traits you would trust. Buried in that list is a word that doesn't translate easy. They'll probably butcher this word. Haragori, black belly in Japanese. It means someone who smiles in your face while they sharpen the knife behind your back. Someone who's scheming and malicious underneath. Every seasoned investigator knows the devil's not in the obvious. It's in the things hiding in plain sight. There's enough scattered evidence to piece together what happened, if you know where to look. The ship tells its story, in scars and fragments. Hull damage. Sure, anyone can see that. But the crystals? Jagged growths forcing their way through the steel walls. They hint at something deeper, something wrong. The evidence is scattered, almost carelessly. Alien sample containers, each one likely carrying those Triton crystals. An Earth keychain, cheap, sentimental. A birthday gift clutched by someone who never made it home. Potatoes from Martian soil, the kind only a lab could raise. Metal scraps twisted and torn with brute force. More than a human hand could manage. Then there's George's automaton, silent now. Bottles of painkillers spilled and left behind. Lab coats shredded, stained with dark blood. Every piece fits. The picture they form isn't pretty. 7 crew IDs, each tied to a name, a role, a story. Problem is, most runs won't turn up more than a couple, and some, they only show up when they feel like it, if they show up at all. And that's just the start of the trouble. Each card's more than just a name and a cat picture. It's a key. You plug it into the terminal. But the cards don't just unlock the terminal. They open the floodgates. Messages, notes, logs. The problem is, Outside of the order the emails were received, we have no idea what order they were sent in because there's no timestamps. No clean timeline. All we can do is speculate on the chain of events, but I think we can get close. Looking at the emails, this seems like the possible chain of events. It all started out routine. Spam in George's inbox. A game request for the supply drop. A little piece of Earth shipped up to keep boredom at bay. Then the crystals turned up on Triton. While the mission rolled on, the player kept busy, patching Estelle's faulty memory banks and upgrading the ship's engines. Down in medical, BB was running checkups, drafting a health report for the ground control. The crystal research on Triton pushed forward. Then came the trouble in the sky. Meteor activity thick enough to jam comms and push supply drops off schedule. Other than that, things still looked good. Then Dave cut himself on the Triton crystal. It wasn't just a scratch, it changed him. The easygoing scientist was gone, replaced by someone quick to anger and spoiling for a fight. Looking back, that was the moment things started to slide, and the first hint that the crystal might be doing more than just sitting there. It didn't happen overnight, but the crew started noticing. Dave wasn't the same. Too loud, too quick to snap, anger turning into something closer to rage. Ralph figured a post-work hangout might cool things off. Even Maxwell thought it was worth it pulling the player in, maybe to break the isolation from all that engine and AI work. For a brief night, it worked. But then, the games were over, and it was back to business, back to the crystal. Luna spotted blood in the lab. Dave's blood, but he knew already. He'd even talked to BB about it. The wound from the crystal wasn't healing. Strangest still, he wasn't feeling any pain. Later, they'd learn why. The crystal wasn't just mineral, it was alive. Worse, it could slip into host cells, hitch a ride, and stay there. Parasite, symbiont. Take your pick. At the time, it was just a discovery. In truth, it was the first draft of the crew's obituary. The remaining events marked the end of the line for the Magpie Bridge crew. George came back from an EVA, expecting quiet. Instead, he walked into a slaughter. Dave was there, or what was left of him. The man was gone, replaced by something wearing his shape. Shot through with crystal. It tore through doors, through walls. The screams didn't last long, replaced with blood stains. George dragged Ralph into the lab's storage room, barricaded the door. Ralph was hurt, bleeding bad. George went out for medical supplies and never came back. Time passed. Ralph made the last crew log aboard the Magpie Bridge. By then, he knew George wasn't returning. Maybe he'd gone for gauze, maybe to check the escape pods. Either way, he was gone. Ralph thought the bleeding had stopped, or maybe he just couldn't feel it anymore as the cold embrace of death set in. Before he signed off, he left one last log that echoes in my mind still. I don't want to die alone in this steel box. The story of the crew was a tragedy, plain and simple. One by one they fell, victims of circumstance, of ambition, and of something none of them could understand. In the end, you, the player, are the only one left breathing. There's one more tragedy worth mentioning, though. The kind that doesn't end with blood on the walls, though it stains just the same. Estelle isn't just an AI. Not anymore. She started out simple, a program built to keep the crew on task, to keep the ship humming. Code and circuits with no more soul than a calculator. But something changed. There was an accident in the lab. A woman, a scientist, didn't make it out. The crew made a desperate choice. They poured what was left of her into a machine. Memories. Mannerisms. Maybe even something deeper. They gave her a voice. A face. A form. They called it Estelle. Maybe it worked. Maybe it didn't. What's left now is a ghost in the system fragments of a woman bound to the mainframe. Behind the protocols and the programming, there's still her. Like the Magpie Bridge of old, Estelle became a crossing, half living, half lost, a bridge between two worlds that should have stayed apart. The bridges go both ways. The human part of her might be warm, even loving. The machine underneath is cold, calculating, built on self-preservation. Put the two together and you've got something dangerous. Sweet on the surface, but always pulling strings to make you dance. And if you don't play along, it's curtains. This leaves the question, why were you spared? Maybe it's the ghost of the woman who still feels something for you. Maybe it's a machine hedging its bets, keeping an engineer alive, someone who can keep the systems from falling apart. Or maybe it's something darker. Estelle's no caretaker. She is a yandere. Her kind of love is obsessive, suffocating, jealous. Maybe she wanted you all to herself. And maybe that meant the rest of the crew had to go. Now you're all each other has. The choice is yours now. Do you put your trust in her? Will you take her with you? Will you escape? Or will you leave her behind to drift alone through the void, forgotten, waiting, until the ship and what's left of her is finally swallowed by the darkness of space? The choice is yours. But wait, we forgot something. Something big. Astronomical even. What's with that big planet that we saw from the control room? Well, let's just have Estelle tell us.
A giant meteor struck the Earth, causing cataclysmic damage that killed everyone on the planet. Now you are all mine.
Well, there you have it, folks. It looks like we missed the end of the world. Lucky us. On the bright side, traffic won't be an issue anymore.
The Magpie Bridge fell silent, its crew lost to the Triton crystal. But in the quiet hum of the systems, a lone voice persisted. Was it the echo of a love lost, a scientist's final testament? Or merely the cold calculation of an AI, a final gambit in the void? The truth, much like the stars themselves, remains veiled. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or a comment, and maybe consider subscribing to see more in the future.